Welcome, everybody. Good evening. And this is a very, very special episode of The Voice of Reason. We're your host. I'm Jeremy Baker. With me, of course, as always, is Mike Falino. What's going on, Mike? So now, one of the things that the reason I'm so excited about this is because we have somebody that is going after one of probably the worst, I think, hate groups in this country. And unfortunately, in America right now, more and more hate groups are popping up. More and more well-funded groups are popping up that are trying to pretty much just rip apart the fabric of democracy and install a fascist, I'll say it, Nazi dictatorship. We have groups that we've spoken about before on the show, like Project 2025 with the Heritage Foundation. We are going to talk about the Article 3 project with Mike Davis, the guy who talks about putting immigrant kids in cages and how it will be quote unquote glorious. You can look it up. The video's out there.
Yep.
Of course, we have MAGA with Donald Trump and those guys. I don't know why they're not listed as a domestic terrorist threat yet. And they support QAnon, who has been labeled a domestic terrorist threat by the FBI. But one of the most nefarious, malevolent groups in this country right now, I think, is Moms for Liberty. Why are they the most nefarious and the most horrible people in this country? Is because they go after your children. They go to your kids' schools. They're trying to completely rewrite the curriculum to exclude anything that has to do with LGBTQ or anything race. I mean, they literally want to wipe everything out of libraries. These are the ones that are responsible for banning all the books and doing all this nonsense. So let me go ahead and play this video, and then Mike will go ahead and introduce our special guest.
Says their focus is on securing more of what they call, quote, parental rights. But critics say they also use misinformation to push fears that kids are being indoctrinated to hate America and steered towards topics like transgender identities. A document on the Wisconsin State Chapter website makes unsubstantiated claims such as kids are being taught to pit racial groups against each other. Goal, to teach kids to hate America so they will destroy it. You think that's what's going on in public schools?
I think some public schools, that's absolutely going on.
That's false. Like, those accusations are false.
Well,
yeah,
we're going to get into more of that. But before we do, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing our guest today, Liz Mikitarian. She is a lifelong educator whose dedication to education and students is absolutely infectious. We frankly need more people with her passion for standing up against these fascist bullies, Moms for Liberty. We here at the Voice of Reason, Jeremy and I, try our best to talk the talk, but Liz has already walked the walk as a lifelong teacher and educator, and now she is absolutely fighting the fight. So it is my pleasure to welcome Liz Mikitarian.
Hi, everybody.
Nice to see you again.
You as well.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
So before we get into the horrendous acts of Moms for Liberty, why don't you tell us a little bit about your organization?
Sure. Well, we are Stop Moms for Liberty. And yes, there's been a lot of controversy and people have asked me to have a more positive name. But truly, our name is our entire mission. It is to stop Moms for Liberty, because you were right that you referenced at the beginning that they are the strongest push across the nation at this point. They are running this playbook by the folks that want to privatize education. They are doing so by demonizing educators, librarians, schools, school boards, and school board members. And we say no. We've been in education, many of us in our membership. We are probably nearing about 20,000 strong in our membership at this point. We are in all but maybe 4 or 5 states across the country. And we've just grown because our messaging and our approach represents the majority of people in the country. The majority of people do not agree with things like book bannings. The majority of people want to have a strong public school system. Do we think there need to be improvements? Absolutely. Always. With any system, you should always be open to that. But they do not want it to be undermined and defamed the way that it is being defamed, and it's at the hands of Moms for Liberty. I personally know one of the founders, so I have the history there, and we did not take this whole thing very seriously. I work in the county or live in the county and used to work in the county where Moms for Liberty was started in the state of Florida, Brevard County. And it was in response to a defeated school board member, Tina Deskovich, who chose to gather all the folks that she could under her wing, so to speak, and go and push back against the school board that she was ousted from. So we thought it was just a kind of a retaliation type thing. But then a third member became very active in their push, and she is from Sarasota County in Florida, and her husband is the head of the Republican Party for the state of Florida. So that all of those things got together. That's when we saw Moms for Liberty take off as an entity. They were almost overnight on the Steve Bannon show, almost overnight on Fox News. These are the kind of things, and I'll testify to that. It takes a while to get national media coverage. They got it almost immediately because they had that connection to the Republican Party. So what do? We push back, and we have these branches across the country that are taking local actions. And our goal is not to replace any of the solid groups across the country that have been doing this work. Our whole mission is to connect the spokes on the wheel, to take, the groups in neighboring counties and connect them with each other so they can support each other's work. So, for example, if there's an event in one county where the NAACP is stepping up to support the public school system, then let's let all the neighboring counties know that so that they can go to that school board meeting or town hall, whatever it may be, and show support, because we are in the majority.
Absolutely.
I agree with that. Now, I want to get your opinion, and I think this is what makes them dangerous. Like you said, they got national attention almost overnight.
Yep.
A lot of people know about this. On the left, this is the newsletter they put out, and you can see in the middle of the right, there's a Adolf Hitler quote, which is this quote is about grooming children, and this is what kills me: is they constantly say they're against grooming, but then they put a quote from the worst person in human history on a newsletter about grooming children. But if you notice the article on the right, is the revenue is insane. $2 million. Of course, most of it comes from two people.
Yeah. And that revenue piece is fairly new news that has now rolled out because they're a 501c4, and they did that strategically so that the reporting process is not real stellar on being to report who you get your donations from, right? So a 501c3 is more strict on what kind of political activity they can be involved in, whereas a 501c4 allows them to do some of the things that they have been doing. But we know left and right, they still step over that line, the cross between
they all do.
church and state, and all those things. And that's huge, that disclosure that, they're in the millions of dollars within their group. So it's not your little moms at the microphone at your local school board meeting. This is a huge structured playbook, and they're really hurting the country.
So it's almost like this is a coordinated political effort that grew from, let's say, hurt feelings of someone who was no longer in power, and believed so much so that they gathered all the people and all the pitchforks and really started coming after the people that they felt they had to stop. They had been demonizing them, different groups, anyone not like themselves. And now they're funded. They themselves are developing a revenue stream. It's almost like it's a political organization, and it's getting the backing of a major political party, whereas your group, or should I say the rest of the country who is sane, are trying to fight back and claw our way up just to get attention. And Moms for Liberty is starting to get attention. It's not the kind that they wanted. And I think, I can't wait to hear your opinion on some of those things, but I'm very interested to know what you think we're up against when it's a political organization that has funding versus, I don't know, a grassroots movement?
Sure. Well, their real weakness is that people like me actually understand what is happening. I have been following the privatization movement for some 30 years now. I lived in Michigan when Betsy DeVos tried to attempt to take over the state of Michigan, and it was a nightmare. Fast forward, I thought she had gone away, right? I didn't hear much about her. And I thought we were safe
hoped.
as, as an entity, public schooling. And then she was appointed as the Secretary of Education by our former president. And red flag went up. That was quite a while before Moms for Liberty was even on the scene, but my red flag was already raised because I knew that she would be pushing. So then fast forward, Moms for Liberty gets developed. They are seen as the boots on the ground to push this privatization agenda. And it was confirmed for me when they had their first summit over in Tampa, Florida, because their keynote speaker was Betsy DeVos. So, unfortunately, there are a lot of us that have been tracking this for a while. And this is certainly not my retirement plan, but I guess I have the seats, so I have to drive this foot.
It's funny. If they wouldn't do stupid stuff like put Hitler quotes in newsletters, I probably wouldn't even know about them.
Yeah.
Because that's actually what drew my attention to them. I'm like, why is a group called Moms for Liberty quoting Hitler? So, of course, I look into it, and then I'm just completely disgusted. Now,
even with that situation, right? They could have come out perfectly from that situation. All they had to do was say, you know what? We printed that. That was wrong. We should have had the disclaimer in there. But instead, they doubled down on it. I mean, they were even praised at their national summit that, Tiffany Justice, one of the leaders, was, I stand with that mom. I think we even might have the clip of that.
I do, actually.
Acknowledge when you've made a mistake and right the mistake, but that's not what they're about. They're all about ducking cover.
With the whole party, you see this though, like with abortion, they just got their asses handed to them.
They did.
On abortion. So what do? No, they don't change their position. They double down on it, and we have to force feed it down these people's throat even harder. But before we get into any more, let me play this lady saying we support that lady that used the Hitler quote.
There's always a reason why something happens, right? Yes. One of our moms in a newsletter quotes Hitler. Woo!
That is.
That's disgusting.
That, Mom.
There you go.
Look, is this? How do I put this? Are we seeing who? I know we're seeing who they truly are, but it's almost like they don't have to pretend anymore. Like there may have been a series of events or unfortunate elections that led to positions of power being taken over by individuals who would promote these hateful ideas, who now make it so that people like Moms for Liberty can actually go out on their national convention and say, we support quoting Hitler and having people cheer. This isn't a mistake, I don't think. I don't want to say that they're dumb and they're making these mistakes. I think they're making their play. And we're finally getting a chance to call them out on it, but they're not stupid. I'm not going to say they're stupid.
Well, either way, either they're stupid, and that speaks for our side, support of our side, or they are, as nefarious as we're questioning here, and that supports our side too.
Yes.
So people in this country do not support Hitler. And if you that think that he was okay, well, shame on them, because they really don't know their history. Oh, that's right. The history that they don't want anybody to learn about. I forgot.
Exactly. Yeah. They're so scared of us actually.
They're so proud. They're so proud to emulate Nazis, but they don't want anyone to know about it. And they still wear hoods. And I think that's the problem, is some of them are starting to take the hoods off.
I mean, we have multiple events of Nazis walking in the street in broad daylight, like it's a normal activity.
It just happened in Michigan this week.
Yeah.
It's the same group from freaking Florida that was in Florida. The same group.
Yeah.
Traveling
I
Nazi
recognized
show.
the guy immediately, the bald guy in the front. I recognized him. But it's unbelievable.
Those are the kinds of things that we do need to stand up against, because my feeling has all been that, yes, we have freedom of speech, but there are certain lines that you must not cross.
Yes.
And we need to develop some clearer lines on what freedom of speech And what is its inciting violence? I mean, for crying out loud, we have a Moms for Liberty chapter chair in California that has made the climate so awful in her area that these bad players came in and they did a whole series of bomb threats on their schools there. And law enforcement has said it's due to the climate that this woman has set up, and it brought that hatred into her community. That's the kind of brave souls that we need, like that law enforcement officer. I'm not sure if he was police chief or a sheriff, but he spoke out and he said, you know what? This is what's going to happen when people talk the way that you're talking. So I don't think they're going to charge her, but the connection was definitely drawn, and we're all over it. And we're holding her accountable for that.
So
as well.
another example of stochastic terrorism, which was made a national public policy, and now we're seeing down at the grassroots movement, which is now being funded to get on the national stage.
Now, tell me a little bit, Liz, about this woman here. Apparently, she called the cops on a librarian, and then the cops were like, "You're an idiot. We're not doing anything about this." Santa Rosa County.
Yeah, I'm well aware. We were actually mentioned in the videos about her. She brought a book that they tricked somebody else's child into taking out at a library. I believe there's been a teacher involved, and we're following up on, because that's not right. So a book was checked out from the library. I don't even know the book. It's like Sound and Fury, or I don't know, something like that. But of course, as a lot of young adult literature has, there are some risque parts of that.
Risque time of life.
They tricked this child into checking out this book, which is at face value flies against what they say, right? They're supposed to be protecting the children. Oh, well, this case, we can use the children. We're not.
That's awful.
We're not for that. So this person checked out that book, and this woman and an elderly gentleman went to the local police department, and they wanted to file charges against the librarian for having checked out that book to that student. So
that's crazy.
Without laughing at them right out loud, if you watch the full coverage of that whole incident, one officer to the other officer is like, okay, so what's the crime? And, you know, that level of conversation. And then they said exactly what the truth is. This is really a school district issue. Why is she here at the police department? So while she was reporting this, you know, hellacious crime, she said that this librarian was a member of one of our groups at Stop Moms for Liberty. And she also mentioned the group SWEEP, which is Sweep Red, Wine, and Blue, which is another huge, they're much bigger than we are, but they're a huge effort across the country to speak on the side of, you know, of right, I'll say. And she called us out. So we're not quite finished with that story yet. I'll just put it that way.
Okay.
Call us, you know, she did call us out and mentioned us. And I've now been told that, of course, no charges were filed at all. And I'm thinking that maybe some false police report filing was what might have been in play there. So I'm not going to put my hand too much on what we're up to.
This is
a straight up Karen situation. That's literally every Karen video. They walk into the truck and go, "You ran me over."
I know, right?
Come
this
on.
is my concern for the future that people like Moms for Liberty and Donald Trump want. They want their neighbors to call and report other neighbors. You know what I mean? This is what they want. They want mass detention camps. They want, this is the stuff they're telling everybody.
This is the playbook, or as Liz pointed out, the history book. We know, and if you just want to take the word Nazis out of it, because man, you can really rile up a broflake real quick by using the word Nazi, because Nazi everything. No, let's use the correct terminology. Fascists. So if we look at one of the most ridiculous examples of fascism, let's take Nazi Germany. If we need to go that route to get to Nazis.
Yeah.
And what they do is they literally breed an environment, not only where they give you a scapegoat, which are vermin, but then they give you the ability to turn on each other, because what that really does is give people the ability to think they're saving themselves by turning on other people. So they just start turning on anyone that they just don't like, which really breeds an extreme culling of the average population and leaves nothing but loyalists. That's what they're trying to do.
And they
it's
have
not that complicated.
They have not invented this.
Yeah,
this
no,
is what has been played in history. So,
that's how it works.
Yep.
I'd say read a book, but the irony there is.
Yeah. I mean, this is. I mean, we played a video on our last show because a lot of people don't know this, but there was a huge pro-Nazi movement in the 1930s, and we showed a video of the Madison Square Garden filled with American people. Doing the Nazi salute, kids, women, men. They even beat the living shit out of a guy who ran in to tear down a Nazi flag. They beat the crap out of the guy and drug him out, dragged him out.
On stage.
Well, look,
this is exactly what's happening again.
History. Charlottesville was an indicator that, oh boy, we have a problem. And what did our president do instead of calming it down? Oh, they were good people on both sides of that.
Right?
No, there weren't. No, there weren't. There were only good people that unfortunately got run over by cars by these bad people. And it's time, just like there's a great video that's circulating of this wonderful dad. And he says, you know what? It's time that we start saying who the bad guys are. And the people that are on the wrong side of these issues, they are the bad guys. So don't play along with the bad guys. So
history is pretty clear who the good guys and bad guys are. And that's not because the victor tends to write the history books. I think the problem is we are past that as a civilization, but there are people like Moms for Liberty, like MAGA, like the Republican Party itself in Ron DeSantis that are trying to erase the history so we don't know that these things happen. So it's easier to lie to a population.
And I will say that
Ron
DeSantis is more concerned than Trump ever was. We try to
Trump is a stooge that is driven by his ego and his desire to just be followed like a god. Ron DeSantis, even though he is that as well, I think knows how to use the fascism a little more surgically. And that's just like the guy in Texas too.
Yeah.
Well, look at what they're implementing in Florida. I mean, it's pretty obvious the route Ron DeSantis wants to take.
You know, my big fear is that he's going to manipulate so that he can be governor for another term. Because he's not have a shot at this presidency.
No.
God. But we don't want him either.
Dear God, no. That would be even, I don't know. I mean, the only person that doesn't scare me on the Republican Party side is Chris Christie. Everybody else terrifies me.
Because Chris Christie's the old, reliable type of crappy Republican.
Right. I don't like the guy, but at least I don't think he's going to overthrow democracy and install a fascist dictatorship. That's the only way I like the guy.
If I had to pick one of them, to allow the nuclear codes, it would be Chris Christie, because he honestly wouldn't destroy the planet. That's it.
All right, so let me play this next video. And now this is an interview they're doing, and they're so confused why they're labeled a hate group. It's so mind-boggling. I don't get it.
How could it be?
Hate and extremist groups by civil rights watchdog Southern Poverty Law Center.
And it's quite remarkable because you look at the list, and I think the first guy on there is a legitimate Nazi with holding up Nazi flags, giving a Heil Hitler sign.
The group started in Brevard by pushing back against COVID mask and vaccine policies in public schools.
We have grown in a little over about 2.5 years now to almost 300 chapters in 45 states. I think we're approaching 120,000 members.
Expanding into promoting banning books and discussions of LGBTQ+ issues in public schools, the Conservatives group co-founder on the listing.
I reject all of them. Our members, our chapter leaders are of all races, they are of all sexes, they are of all sexual preferences. So this narrative that they've been driving,
I find that hard to believe.
Yeah.
I find that so hard to believe.
Pictures don't lie. They had some plans in that picture. Otherwise, it was lily white.
Speaking of lily white pictures, we might as well pull this picture up at the moment.
Oh, Lord.
There's a lot of racist white people. Yeah. So you said that one of these.
Interesting. That was in the state of Kentucky. And the woman with the red hair giving the sign, and actually she does have on a Moms for Liberty t-shirt.
Yep.
She and another leader who I don't think is pictured in that particular thing, but they have been ousted from Moms for Liberty because this hit the news, right? I'm actually working with a journalist, and this hit the news, and that was their response. And then they've done a press release saying, we have nothing to do with the Proud Boys, and we, deny association with those who stood there and held the sign and the white supremacy sign. But the problem is, and it's kind of funny, actually, I guess, if you look at the whole thing, we have 20 or 30 more pictures with other leaders that are equally connected to the Proud Boys, including the Proud Boys were in attendance when one of the founders of Moms for Liberty was actually elected. And pictured there. She likes to say, oh, he came in and photobombed me. Well, I will tell you, not that I'm being supportive, but the Proud Boys are not happy with being denied the way that they're being denied across the country.
No, because they are just so Moms for Liberty is fueled by abusing parental fears. Proud Boys is misogyny cauldron of Looney Tunes. So yeah, if they think they're slighted,
these women are what they're against, and now these women are saying, oh no, they're not valid. Oh no, we're not part of that. But we don't support them.
But
really?
But like again, this goes to I know they're not stupid, but the internet doesn't forget. Like I mean, I know they would love to turn the internet off. They'd love to do what other countries do, where they could just be like, no, you can't see any of that. You can only see this, because trust me, they're trying. But as of right now, everyone on the planet is addicted to their phone, all of us. And I'm pretty sure all of them that got the cool pictures with the Proud Boys, ooh, look at how cool we are taking selfies, and that goes to all of them. So there's a lot of good people that are way better at trolling the internet than me that are finding those pictures.
Yeah.
Yep. So, they can do a press release, but there's too much evidence being built against them that they can't keep. And so, therefore, of course, they claim that Stop Moms for Liberty, my movement, because we're not really an organization, it's a movement of members, but they attributed everything that is against them to us. And to that, I'm not going to refute it. Sure, I'll take credit.
All right.
Absolutely.
Moms for Liberty, sure, say it's us. Even though, it may not be the total truth. But I'm not sure that they actually know what to do with this movement at this point.
That's a good point.
It's been very interesting to watch, and it's strategic that we are not a money collecting, no hired positions movement. And that was strategic from the very beginning, because we wanted to do everything opposite of what they have done. Right? They take in money. There's no accountability really for that money. We wanted to be head and shoulders above that. So we have no money. Is it a disadvantage sometimes? Probably, but there's money out there that, can be funneled into groups doing the work. And it's just, I don't think they know what to do. I have had interactions with Tina several times, and she knows that I will not back down. She knows that eventually I'm going to expose all of the information that I have about her. And she's probably really freaking out just a little bit. Like, oh my God, people are actually listening to this strange woman.
Can you do it on our show, please? Expose everything right on our show. We would love to do a second episode.
But all this sounds like to me is, yet again, with everyone in, and I'm going to say their movement, and their movement is fascism, is they're all just bullies that if you smack right in the nose, man, does it make their world spin. And it's how they react to it, right? Just like you said, the Proud Boys are going to probably react with testosterone. Okay. Moms for Liberty are probably going to react the way that they are already acting, which is insidiously sink their teeth into the local things, get deeper into the elections, right? They would love to fire every librarian. To say that librarians are evil, we're going to fire them all. Then once they're all fired, put all their own new librarians in, because we fixed that. So it's not librarians. It's not librarians, it's books, it's knowledge. So all these groups are going to get what they deserve in the end, which is, I hope, told to shut up and go sit in a corner. But man, they are going to fight back. So we definitely need a
They
movement.
are, but I guess my point is, and I'll refer this back to some election discussion that we should do too.
I was going to bring that up.
Fall 2022, I was very discouraged. We were just starting out, so we had only had about, I don't know, 6 months or so of work, and they swept school board campaigns across the country, and they seated, I think it's north of 250
Whoa.
school board members across the country. And so then what has unfolded across the country is these flipped school boards have made some really horrendous decisions. Mine, my county, got rid of our superintendent, who was very well supported on their first meeting. That was their first item of discussion. So people were kind of like, well, I voted for you, but I didn't think this was what you were planning to do. So after those elections, and people have seen the destruction in their path, people are waking up. So fast forward to spring of 23 elections, they only sat, I think it's 40 school board members.
Yeah,
so
they lost all of Pennsylvania.
Downward trajectory that we're very pleased with. And now this past election, they know they're in trouble. They like to say, oh, we sat 50 people. Well, where were you when last year you were able to sit 250 some odd people? Your message is not resonating in communities, and people are fighting back. And I'd like to think that we are a little piece of that, because it's
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm proud to say I'm in Pennsylvania, and they lost every seat that they ran for in Pennsylvania.
Your Bucks County and your Penn Ridge, is it? School district? Amazing. Penn Ridge was actually the laboratory for the North. I don't know if you knew that. Penn Ridge things that they were getting away with in Florida. And that was like their sampling of, ooh, can we do these kinds of things in the North area? And they got away with it at first, right? There's the contract with the consultant. There's PragerU that's brought in. All the different that are bad that have been brought in. And the community stood up and said, no, this is not what we want. And I'm so thrilled for them. They work night and day. I want to say it's like a Ridge Network is a group that's up there. Unbelievable. Right? We have some shared membership, and the work that they did to get the information out there and to alert people, it worked. And the whole school board flipped. And in Bucks County, I think they were equally as successful. So they are no longer sitting with this many majorities like they did have after those fall elections. Thank goodness. And we believe we are doing a big push here at Stop Moms for Liberty for candidates in the upcoming spring elections. So we have a little time, but we are planning right now. And then the following fall, we think it will be that Moms for Liberty will be finished. And we have no problem with them seating a school board member. No problem at all. If they are extreme conservatives, I even believe in their right to be on a school board, to have statements, part of the discussion. I believe that. I believe in, most free speech, and I believe in equal opportunity. However, when you're talking about taking over so that then you only have one voice represented, which is what the Moms for Liberty push is, to turn over school boards into their way of thinking, that is not okay in a democracy. And
not at all.
A lot of people say, oh, well, yeah, you're kind of embellishing. It's not really a push on democracy. Well,
no, it is. It is.
It is. And their next target, believe this, is the hospital system across the country.
Oh,
and that happens, we're all screwed.
Look,
that just gave me chills when you said that scares me.
They tried it in Sarasota. They are trying to seat hospital board members.
Oh, God.
I don't think they've been successful in Sarasota yet, because Sarasota has had, a really big awakening over there. And that's going to be in their playbook. I don't know if you're familiar with what's called the 7 Mountains Mandate. Have you all heard of that? Okay,
no.
So when your listeners, it's something to look up. Again, it's not conspiracy theory. It's all documented. It is part of white Christian nationalism across the country. And this is a doctrine. It's called the 7 Mountains Mandate, that there are 7 areas that the far-right extremist, white Christian fascist movement should push for. One of the
Oh,
mountains
God.
was education. Another one is health. And just go down the line. And so everyone will be impacted by this if we don't stop it in the, I'll call it mountain of education. And we're doing our darndest to stop it.
It's funny how when you start talking about all this and you really start to see what their plan is. And right now, I think, like you said, they're onto the election part of this. Look at what they're saying, right? You don't know what you want when you vote for it. They can't share the school board because they want to control everything. They want to take away the right for different voices to have a say because they want their voice to have a say over everyone. So you look at what a Rick Santorum has recently said on, I think it was Newsmax, that the left is trying to lure voters with sexy topics like abortion and cannabis. No, guy, where people voted on something and that's what they wanted. So they don't want to share a voice. They just want their voice to be the only voice. So they are trying to take over elections. Now they're trying to say, now they have their own representatives on news channels as talking heads telling you, yeah, democracy isn't the way to go. We really should do this. You have Ohio saying, we're going to go back on what you just voted on because you didn't understand what you were voting on.
Yeah.
I know. And that's
I mean, that's just all this is. So the Seven Mountains thing you're talking about makes a lot of sense because it's almost like the pillars of society are what they're attacking. If you have education, which is the pillar of any functioning society, a robust, secular public education, you have a healthcare system, which we don't have. We have a death care system. But if we had a healthcare system, that's something to take over. Then you probably, I guarantee there's something about security on there, police forces, military. You're starting to take over the pillars of your community, the pillars of your country.
Exactly.
So let me play this next clip. This is just more of the same clip from before, but this gets a little bit more into the SPLC representative talking about
looks at LGBTQ plus and race issues, the main reasons why they're on the list, but also called anti-government by SPLC.
Their tactics are hateful, but I think that it's important to look at their overarching theme of just being against public education.
Jennifer Jenkins beat Tina Descovich in her 2020 re-election bid for the Brevard County School Board.
Their founder has been leaning in by tweeting a statement about promoting violence in front of a school board meeting in California, the same exact day that they're labeled a hate group. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, there's certainly moms for something, but it sure isn't Liberty.
I like that last line.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I helped in her campaign. She is a stellar board member. Do I agree with every position? Not necessarily, but I know that everything she does is to benefit children. And she has been the victim of such horrific harassment. And I can share all the things, but we're talking burning things in her front lawn of her home.
Oh my God.
What are we, Nazis?
Of craziness. So I give her all the credit in the world. She has hung in there. She has continued to be the voice of reason. Play on that.
Hey, I see what you did there.
Yeah,
I like that.
Too, but it came out well. But only voice of reason at times on our local school board. And she did get some national coverage because her harassment was so awful.
I mean,
God,
nice.
That had to be bad. If she got national coverage, I can't even imagine the amount of harassment she received.
Yeah.
It's almost like the only thing these people know what to do is to attack, belittle, berate, and shame and try and scare you because they have no policy. They have no moral high ground. They have no ethical positions whatsoever.
Right.
They just are vicious.
I will tell you that I have been harassed terribly. Not at the level of Jennifer. They haven't come to my home. If you're listening, don't come to my home.
Yeah, please don't.
And I have cameras. But, yeah, that is their only level of action is to push back. And it won't work because when you have truth and knowledge on your side, you're not going to back down. And we are seeing some really unbelievable bravery across this country. I just had a conversation today with a principal who they're threatening to fire him. And the only thing we can figure out is that it's because he's gay. This is not what we stand for in this country.
No.
We don't. It is straight out discrimination. I hope that, you know, we as an organization can lend him some support. We're certainly trying right now. And, you know, there are other groups where there's a school board member in Missouri who is all over social media, and she is downing her school system left and right. Well, excuse me, but were you not just elected to be a representative of this school system? And why are you defaming the very place that you're supposedly working for? So, you know, sharing opinions is fine, but when you are an elected official, you know what you should say and shouldn't say. Yes, there's freedom of speech, but there are limits to that, folks, and they cross those lines continually.
And I always like to tell people, just because you're free to say whatever you want doesn't mean I can't react the way I want, because I have the same freedoms as you. So don't get upset when I take you down verbally. You know what I mean? Because as soon as you come at them, they have the thinnest skin of any people I've ever met. These MAGA people, this whole right wing.
But we're the snow.
Yeah, but we're the snowflakes. But they're freaking out about M&Ms, Barbie movies, and Christmas ornaments. And you want to call us the fragile snowflake? Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway.
The self-righteousness is just beyond me.
Yep.
Okay. And I think that's kind of what tripped me up at the beginning. I mean, here I was a lifelong educator, and all of this started when I went on to my local group, and I just simply tried to share information to say, no, what you're being told is not true.
Can't have that.
And they came at me and they labeled me as, you know, a child predator. And
oh my God, these people.
You must have been grooming kids all of those years. Was I hurt? Absolutely. Could I have gone off and just licked my wounds in my retirement? But it freaked me out enough to say, oh my God, are they attacking educators? And that's what started Stop Moms for Liberty. So it started in Brevard County, and our belief is it's going to end from our efforts that have started in Brevard County as well. Yeah.
And I think
So
it's important that everybody, I just want to reiterate the fact that Moms for Liberty does this for a very handsome pay. And you and your organization, your movement, you do this because it's necessary.
Yeah.
You don't get financial reward for doing what you're doing. So I think it's important that our audience knows that there are groups like yours out there that are doing the right thing because it's the right damn thing to do.
Exactly. And we see the danger in what's happening from the other side. And, you know, and again, I am a strong believer that public schools need to beef up. I will be the first one at the table.
Absolutely.
So I am also the first one that would look at materials and I would say, that might not be great for third grade. You know what I'm saying? But there are processes in place that people are supposed to be following. And the way to get your opinion told is to follow those processes that are in place instead of going to a school board meeting or on social media and calling people like me groomers.
Yeah.
So isn't that really the essence of it, as far as this is just another group that's trying to get followers, and when you get followers, you could push them in a direction. Okay. So the people running this, like you said, were people that had been on boards, were maybe educators themselves. They know that those checks and balances are there. They know that these processes are there. But the voters, the average person, maybe I didn't know all these things before I started having conversations with you and, you know, people in my family that are teachers. But the average person, man, it's so easy to take advantage of someone's emotion when there's lacking a knowledge on a subject, because they almost allow themselves to fill that lack of knowledge with that emotion, because they don't stop and go, man, there has to be a process by which they vet materials for education. There has to be, but no, they don't. And instead they immediately go to, oh my God, what you just said is scary and it must be right. Of course it's not like up to every teacher to like sit around in a dark room around a cauldron and look into it and ask the spirits which books to put on the curriculum.
I always say, kindergarten. If I could indoctrinate kids, it would be to wipe their noses when they're running all over their faces.
Right? Yeah, cover your mouth when you're coughing, for crying out loud.
It's fun. I've seen memes on that where it's like if we were indoctrinating people, everyone would understand how to use a comma correctly.
Yes. Bring me coffee every day too.
Stuff like that, or use there, and there correctly.
Now, just so you know, Oh, go ahead, Liz.
I was just going to say the lack of information is exactly.
Uh-oh. She froze up on us for a second. Oh, no, we lost her for a second. What I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and play this ad.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get Liz back. But if not, we still have some other stuff we can talk about.
Are you disappointed that Barbie has become so woke? Do you wish there was a doll that promoted your
I love
Christian
this.
nationalist values? The fun guys at Coach
It's
Toys
absurd.
present the new girl in town, the Joyful Warrior doll. She's just a mom fighting for liberty to impose her beliefs on your children. The county's great accessory. A book to ban without reading. Pearls to clutch dramatically. A book-burning starter kit. A special ranting microphone for maximum attention.
Oh, man.
Endorsed homophobic reading material. This school board meeting might be about the budget, but she doesn't care because she won't be silenced. She's got a bone to pick with librarians, and she's gonna tell you about it. She's here to save the children.
This is so good.
Oh,
Includes. Oh my God, I missed that last part. Hold on a second here. Let me see if I can pause it in the right place. Let me see if I can pause this.
Oh,
Includes-
man, come on.
Includes straight white Christian children only. Oh my God, that is
Yeah, but
too
like
good.
this is what we always talk about. Like if we don't find some sort of dark humor, you know, I'm gonna crawl into a corner and think, wow, we are gonna lose our education system. So
Yes, we
yeah, we
definitely
have
are.
humor like that, and it's we gotta ridicule them. You know, who was it the other day? One of Obama's ex-aides that said the best way to fight Trump is to talk about how ridiculous he is. So
Yes,
we have
exactly.
to satire Moms for Liberty because in essence they are a clown show. They're a dangerous fascist clown show, but they keep making fools of themselves. Like if you want to try and take over the country, like maybe don't have your people pose in pictures with Proud Boys. Like,
Yeah, that's
what are you doing?
that's probably step one right there. So
Don't cheer
But they're-
on your members who are quoting Hitler.
yeah,
Come on.
exactly. So for anybody that's watching out there, unfortunately, it looks like we had a bad connection and Liz popped off, and I think she's trying to hop back on. So we'll see if that works. But before that
think there's
happens,
another
there are
video.
people. There are people fighting back. There are people speaking out, and this guy right here is my new hero. So let me go ahead and play this real quick.
Try to implement these discriminatory policies in the right way, you are never going to find a right way
Thanks, Meidas
to
Touch
do the
again.
wrong thing. And Governor Youngkin's policies are wrong. One of the ways you could tell is because you have speakers from groups like Moms for
There she
Liberty
is.
here to support them. And I'll be real simple in case you aren't paying attention. They're not the good guys. How can you tell? I can help. The good guys don't get declared extremist groups by human rights organizations. Never in history have the good guys been the ones trying to ban books. Never in history have the good guys been a segregationist group pushing to legislate identity. Never in history have the good guys been closely connected with and supported by hate groups like the Proud Boys. And the good guys don't put Hitler quotes for inspiration on the front of their newsletters.
Yeah, that's kind of the big
Newsflash,
one.
they're the bad guys.
That's a tell.
They're the bad guys here supporting bad policy. And if you support the same bad policy, guess what? You're one of the bad guys too.
Oh, couldn't have been said any better. If you support this nonsense, you are one of the bad guys.
It's not complicated. Like Liz said it. You've said it a million times. Just look at history. It's right there. And I know it's such an oversaid statement, you know, like history repeats itself or learn history or we're doomed to repeat it. Yes, but it's kind of true. Like that's what history is. It's a living thing. You have to keep teaching. So look who's trying to ban history books. They're saying, oh, we're trying to protect people. You're trying to protect whom from history? Oh, Liz.
Exactly. She's back. We got her back.
That was the strangest thing. My phone overheated. It's a sign.
Ah.
We're hot on
That
the
happens
trail
to
of
me.
Moms for Liberty.
Like-
I had to actually put it in
That's
the
right.
freezer to cool it off.
Oh my God. What the heck?
Such hot topics. Her phone is literally about to
Yes,
catch fire. I love it.
Yeah.
Just be safe. All right. don't
Sorry
let your phone
about that.
explode on our account, please. We don't
No,
want
I'm
any
good now.
injuries as a result of talking about Moms for Liberty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we
Your
played
phone
your
was like,
Joyful
no,
Warrior.
you're done. You're done.
Yeah, we played your
told it
Joyful
like
Warrior
mid
commercial
sentence. I
and we
was
played
like,
the Dad
"Oh, how
Speaks
rude."
Out commercial. So we played the 2 videos, the dad speaking out. I don't know where that was. Do you know where that was?
That's in Virginia Beach. Yep.
Oh.
Under the handle, I think it's Breezy Dad is what he's known for. And he's made several speeches. This one was, I think, his most stellar speech.
He did nail it.
Oh my goodness. I mean, the style was to die, you know. I mean, just so kind and gentle and yet slammed.
Oh yeah, no yelling, no anything, just perfectly well spoken. I mean, you couldn't have come across better.
It was
now we're down to about the last 10 minutes of this show. So what I want to finish this off with obviously the most damning news that Moms for Liberty probably could have gotten. And I believe this just broke yesterday or the day before.
Yeah, it was like
I can't
yesterday.
remember.
And come on.
So, yeah, Philadelphia Moms for Liberty leader revealed as a convicted sex offender. Philip Fisher Jr. helped connect faith leaders in Philadelphia with the extremist parental rights group. So a pastor and a leader in Philadelphia's Moms for Liberty chapter was a registered sex offender and has been since 2012.
That's weird.
Did you not know Google exists? Like
it's almost like they have
he's
no other interface with reality than projection. Yet another person involved in pedophilia, some sort of sex crime with children, and it's of which party, of which group of people trying to push which narrative?
You have to admit, though, the irony is perfect because they're all against sexualizing children.
That's all they do.
And they hired somebody who literally went to jail for sexualizing a child. Physically.
Yeah, and I look at big picture. So my estimation of probably what happened, and I just made a post about this. Number one, they have $2 million supposedly, so they have plenty of money to vet people that are within their cause, right? Just the irony of it. And I think what happened was, as you know, they had their annual summit in Philly last summer, which, you know, we were part of the pushback there. Not a big part, but a small part. And they could not get a local chapter of Moms for Liberty established there. And the optics of that were really bad. They were coming to the city of brotherly love in a place where they didn't even have traction. Why were they daring to come there? So I believe what happened in this situation is this voice, however he connected with whomever made the decision, said, oh, we'll get you connected with the faith community. And that's what unfolded. And they did not properly vet. And yet then they, you know, were able to say, oh, we have activity in Philadelphia too. Well, now it's coming back to haunt them because it shouldn't have been the way that things were handled. And in a structure that large and well-funded, they shouldn't make mistakes like that. I have no sympathy on that piece of it. We're talking their founders are actually on salary now, and they have a staff. They have a staff at Moms for Liberty that should be doing this kind of work. They have a brand that they should be protecting, and yet they're not. And, you know, it's good for our side because they're making some dumb moves, and that's one of them.
Are they not protecting the brand? Because in general, you know, a brand is supposed to be there for a long time for people to recognize, for people to latch onto. But I don't think the goal is that long term for anyone in this movement, because I hate tying it back to things about the election, but next year, either, you know, we go one direction or the other. And if we go in the bad direction, there's no need for a viable brand because they'll have won. That's the end of it. There'll be no Department of Education. You know, we won't know that slavery existed. We'll forget that we enslaved anyone during World War II. I mean, so are they just not careful because they don't need to be, or they don't think they need to be, that they're just like this reactionary, we got to get this done and hammer it down America's throat?
If I knew what made them tick, this would be a lot easier job. But honestly, I can't figure out some of the stuff that they have done. I really can't. It just flies in the face of common sense often. And, you know, how do you figure that out? So that's been a challenge for us, is to know, you know, why are they motivated? And we think it is solely, what you're alluding to, that it's a genuine takeover attempt, and either they're going to win or they're going to lose. We're projecting that they are going to lose, at least eventually. And yeah, maybe they'll go away. Honestly, I hope my movement can go away. I hope that we can stop doing this work, and that people stop attacking public education and educators. It shouldn't be happening in this country.
I'm convinced again that they're part of this whole Project 2025 bullshit.
Of course.
And again, I'm convinced that they're the branch that they sent out specifically to target kids. Now, if anybody looks up Project 2025's 900-page manifesto, which is right online, they call it the playbook.
It is a manifesto.
They know. They even say it, that this is their last chance to pull this off. They tried it. There was a Project 2015. Most people don't know about that, but a lot of their fascist policies, Trump implemented them. Roe v. Wade getting overturned was as a result of this Project 2015 or 20, whatever. So now they want to do it again, but they know now this is their last shot. So we say it all the time. Democracy this time around is quite literally on the ballot. So
I'm sorry, my connection keeps breaking up.
No, you're good. We lost her again. Damn it. So yeah, but like I was saying, there she is. Democracy is quite literally on the ballot. We see you.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's just it's time for us to do this work. Definitely.
It is.
Yeah. And I really want to encourage, I'm not in either of the political parties, and that's on purpose for the work that we're doing.
Yeah.
But I really encourage the Democratic Party to realize that this is their last stand in the 2025 elections. I know that I've heard people alluding to that, but that needs to be the national push, that if people do not want to succumb to what we have seen the Republican Party instill across the nation, we all need to get active on this one. And that's right down to your local Democratic committee. I just had a meeting tonight with one up in New England, and they need to know what's going on. They need to know that the battleground is often in the schools right now, and they need to get involved. So,
and one of the pushes we make here on the show is that not voting this time is not an option, because not voting this time is basically like voting for Trump, because if you don't vote for Biden or you don't vote at all, that's one less vote that Trump needs to win.
And you'll never vote again after that.
Right.
You'll never get the chance again.
You'll never have a chance to vote again, because we'll never get rid of this. I mean, it's
well,
terrifying.
no, they'll keep up the illusion like in Russia, where Putin just announced he's going to be running for president again.
Yeah. It'll be militarized. I mean, Donald Trump's talking about deploying the military the day one. And, he's talking about invoking the Insurrection Act. This is terrifying.
And who is
not taking it seriously still?
Who is the nice, comforting, welcoming face? Moms for Liberty, right? Because why would moms do anything wrong?
And they are very connected to people like Mike Flynn, who is all in on all of this kind of activity.
That guy is a 100% Handmaid's Tale, Gilead, full-on women are dirt Nazi. That guy is.
He has a whole like training complex, so to speak, a gathering in Sarasota, Florida. Yeah.
Oh my God. We've had him on the show, not on the show, but we've played videos of him on his traveling QAnon circus.
Yes.
Selling autographed Mike Lindell pillows and shit. It's pathetic. I swear to God. You put money in the bucket and you get this Mike Lindell autographed pillow. I'm like, this is so awful. But
I want to be able to
continue to give them money. People
it's
continue to
beyond
give them money.
Me that there are 39 60 some odd indictments against Trump right now. And every time one of those indictments hit, it was a fundraising boost for him.
Yep.
How do we explain that to, onlookers?
Right.
Because it's just not rational thinking.
That's so funny. I say it all the time that like Trump's favorite thing that he repeats, one of his favorite things is that the world is laughing, right? We're not supposed to care what the outside world thinks, but the world is laughing at us. The world is not laughing at us. They're laughing in the way that you laugh when you see something really terrible and your anxiety is like, we don't know how to handle this. Laugh. Yeah. So the world is looking at what we're dealing with right now, and they feel the implication on their lives if Trump wins. Moms for Liberty is not just a threat here, because they aren't just focused on fixing schools. They're focused on taking over schools. And if you're part of a movement that's taking over things, you're going to be buddies with other people who like to take over things. And right now, there's a lot of people who are big, giant assholes and run countries in really scary ways. And Moms for Liberty is okay trying to get your kids to be part of that.
Exactly.
And I know that sounds like hyperbole, like we're linking, a grassroots movement, which they're not, to something on the world stage, but it's all related. If the United States goes down the route of fascism, we are in serious trouble as a species. That's not a joke.
Truth, if they had been grassroots, if they had been focused on what they actually say to support parents, to improve public education, I would have been on the front lines right with them.
Yep,
exactly.
I would have brought all my experience to the table to do so, because I can get things done. And that's not how they approach this. They approached in an attacking manner. So therefore, they're going to get pushback. When you come in a negative manner against an entire system, against, in my case, an entire profession, you can expect the pushback. So like I said, they are giving us credit for doing things that we don't even do at Stop Moms for Liberty. I think it's kind of funny. So we're taking credit for it because we are the major pushback right now.
Good.
We work in conjunction with some, stellar groups. There's a group in New York, Defense of Democracy. They've done amazing work. We've been in conjunction with them since really the beginnings of both of our organizations. And we're all coming together under this umbrella that actually represents the majority of people, because they are not the majority. And it's being proven. It's proven in elections. It's being proven by, the people that are pushing back in their local areas against all of these horrible stories that we're hearing about. This is not what America is about. And, they claim to have taken over our flag. No, they haven't, because it's our damn flag. And we are going to take it back.
Exactly.
Jeremy, that's like one of your biggest things. You freaked out the other day. You totally freaked out the other day.
I'm so angry about the fact that this movement took the American flag, because their flag has a swastika on it. Okay, they're flying the wrong flag. My father went through 2 wars over a period of 22 years. He was in Vietnam and Desert Storm, and I'm honestly glad he's not here to see this. And it's why I hang my flag behind me upside down, because I refuse. It means dire distress. I feel like this country is in so much distress right now. We should all be hanging our flags upside down.
And what do you always say? Why are we doing this? Because what's still going on? The coup.
Yeah, the insurrection is
ongoing.
It's not over. So.
Yeah.
Well,
it's just a little prettier now with makeup and a cute T-shirt.
That's it.
Well, Liz, that is pretty much all the time we have for today. Do you have any closing comments before we go?
Just inviting people to get involved. Don't take my word for anything. I'm just a little old retired kindergarten teacher that came after one too many times. Somebody said that about me in a radio program, and
that's really awesome.
They came after this kindergarten teacher too many times. Very little scares me also, because I am a kindergarten teacher, so I've seen it all. So they don't know what to do with our movement. And as much as they may try to defame us, they're not going to win, because we're not doing the bad stuff. Just like in that video, we're not the bad guys. Right. We're the good guys, and we're trying to stand up for people's rights. And even folks that might have been tuned in that are not necessarily supportive of, let's say, the LGBTQ plus community, or not supportive of the Black community, understand that we are fighting the negative process. And it may not be you today, but it may be you tomorrow. Maybe they're going to go after people that are overweight next. Then
it could be anything.
Maybe they're going to go after people with facial hair. Both of you guys are messed
up.
No.
Oh, we'd be in trouble.
Shit.
So we have to stop the process of a small minority thinking that they should have say over all of us, because that is not fundamentally American. That's not what we are here to be.
Perfectly said. Thank you so much, Liz, for coming on the show. I hope to have you on again in the future.
Difficulties.
Oh no, you're
Yeah.
fine. We have tech problems all the time. No
Yeah.
worries. We're used to it. So
Yeah.
have a good rest of your week. And
Well, good luck
hang.
on your show. Yep.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
Don't
so
hop
much.
off yet. I want to talk to you after we log off here. So let me.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
And we'll boost the playback of this as well.
Oh,
I
thank you so
really
much.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
All right, so that is all the time. Man, that was a good show. I had so much fun. If anybody wants to get more involved with Stop Moms for Liberty, go to the description. The link tree and their website information is in the description of the video. Of course, you guys have any comments, questions, please leave them because we're just getting warmed up. Mike, do you want to say any last words before we go for the night?
Man, I don't know. I can't wait to have Liz back on. I could listen to her talk about stuff. She like knows what's going on. And as much as everything she says terrifies me, I am glad the movement is in her hands because
Absolutely.
She is fierce. And every one of us can be just as fierce if we just make sure. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it every single show. Just go vote, please.
Please be on the right side of history. Okay. This is your opportunity to be on the right side of history. So that's all we have for tonight, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Again, we're just getting started. We're fully independent. We do all our own research, everything ourselves. So if you could like and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. And I will love you till the end of time. So other than that, that's all I got for today. And as always, everybody, we will talk